Match gets underway. Bell rings. Samoa Joe, CM Punk won. Spoiler alert. This match is a 60-minute, 1 hour draw. That's what 60 minutes is called. A 60-minute draw. Time elapses. No winner. Samoa Joe retains the title. I think most people know that at this point, but in case you didn't, there it is. But I lay that out there in the beginning because I think that detail of this being a 60-minute match is so important in highlighting how great this shit was. Because not every match, a wrestling match, like just the amount of minutes doesn't equate to quality. Like longer doesn't always mean better. I've seen a bunch of 3-minute matches that were better than a lot of 40-minute matches that I've seen in my life. Like for example, I think wasn't I can't remember if it was 45 minutes or 60 minutes. There was a 4-way match at Final Battle 02 that just dragged, bro. Like it was so fucking boring. And I don't even remember who. I guess Samoa Joe was in it, I would assume, and he won. I don't remember anything about it. It wasn't good. This match here flew by. And you know what? Maybe not flew by isn't really the right way because it did feel grueling. Like you could feel the grueling nature of it. That's the word that I think best describes this match as grueling, because it was Samoa Joe, CM Punk. Neither guy particularly. I guess CM Punk is kind of known for his cardio. I know he had a bunch of 60-minute plus matches with Chris Hero and other promotions, but Samoa Joe, you look at him, you're like, this guy ain't going 60 minutes, but he did, and they both did it in spectacular fashion. Just the pacing of this match was just, it was very, like, first of all, I've never seen this match, by the way. I think I've seen their second match. I don't believe I've seen this one. So I was pretty much coming in cold. The thing that struck me was about this whole match. The thing that struck me were the headlocks. The headlocks was the big story of this match, which is such like a mundane thing. But the way it was incorporated into this match was so good because Samoa Joe, we know who Samoa Joe is, right? Big tank of a man, explosive, got the martial arts, the jiu-jitsu, the big high impact moves, the intensity. You know, I don't even know if I don't know what Samoa Joe's longest title defense is at this point. It can't be. I wouldn't be surprised if he has not had a match above 20 minutes. Definitely not past 30. But a lot of his matches aren't that long. You know, it's very, I'm not going to compare him to Goldberg because it's not that extreme, but it's, Joe comes out, it's bop, 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 slam, 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 ole, kick, 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 choke you out, muscle buster kind of thing, right? So to see Joe in this type of match was very interesting. And he was in this type of match because CM Punk was desperate to control the tempo of the match. Both guys were, but Punk's method in controlling the tempo of the match was headlocks. Like CM Punk was so persistent and just locking in headlocks on Samoa Joe. Like Joe would get this like burst of energy. He would like hit the ropes. He would be going for a big kick, and then Punk would counter and just headlock. Hold him there. Like Joe hits his big boot, snapmare, chop to the back, kick to the head, hits the ropes, big knee. Wait, the knee misses, and then Punk locks into headlock again. It was almost to the point of comedy. No matter what Joe did, no matter how much speed and momentum he picked up, no matter how intense he got, he would just find himself back into a headlock. And that's like the first like fucking 30 minutes of the match is just that, which sounds like if you're just listening to me describe it that way and you haven't seen it, you might be like, what the fuck? That sounds boring as shit. But it's the way you can see the tension build in Joe. You can see him starting to boil over a little bit. And that's obviously what CM Punk's strategy is here, is to wear him down slowly, to neuter him from what he typically does. And I thought that just played out great. Like Joe he hits like a back suplex on Punk, but Punk takes the suplex just so he can hold on to the headlock. I mean, it's just pretty much through the whole match, but mainly that first half was a lot of that. But once it goes outside, is when Samoa Joe starts to take control a little bit, goes for his Olay kick into the barricade, but Punk counters. He slides back into the ring, but Joe follows him and just hits him with a whirlwind of strikes, slaps, kicks, chops. Punk runs to the outside, only to be met by a suicide dive by Samoa Joe. And it's at this point, Joe's got that momentum. The energy's with Joe. Punk tries to counter. He tries to hit a Hurricane Rana off the apron, but Joe catches him in like a powerbomb position and swings him into the barricade, which just looked and sounded so brutal. Hits him with 3 Olay kicks into the barricades, which, by the way, if you're not familiar, it's a face wash into the steel barricade. He kicks Punk's face into the steel 3 times in the ring. Now he's throwing Punk all over the place. Uranagis, face washes in the corner. Punk starts to fight back a little bit. So now it's at this point. I should have noted down like timestamps here, but we're probably like 35, 40 minutes into the match at this point. So you can start to feel the grueling nature of this match. Like, it's not just a sprint. Somebody will hit a move and then they sell, which is just, I mean, whew, you don't notice how little selling you see nowadays until you watch this match. Go watch this match. You'll appreciate, first of all, you'll appreciate both guys individually, first of all, but I mean, you'll just appreciate the art of selling. Like Punk, he hits Joe with some forearms. He hits the ropes like he's about to hit something big and then just locks in a sleeper hold instead. But now Joe, because before these headlock, chin lock, sleeper, whatever you want to call it, it was just to kind of slow Joe down. But now it is starting to take effect. Punk has Joe down from the sleeper. Almost down and out, but Joe fights back, hits an enziguri to fight out of it. Joe locks in a Boston Crab. Punk gets to the ropes, and both guys just collapse. I mean, we're probably like 45 minutes into the match at this point. You can see these guys are dripping in sweat. Every strike, you could just see a cloud of water just propel from their bodies. It is just championship rounds at this point. Punk has Joe on the top rope. He's going for a back suplex, which is like a move that kind of feels mundane nowadays, just like a regular back suplex from the top rope. But the way Punk fights for it, like he gets Joe up there and like Joe's fighting out. He's hitting him with the palm of his hand to try to knock him off. But Punk is like, no, I'm going to fucking get this suplex. And he's like, tries 3 times and he finally gets it. And when he hits it, the crowd erupts. Like, it felt this relatively benign, mundane, see it every night move feels like the biggest deal in the world just based on what these guys have put into the match up to this point. Like I said, I'm gonna come back to this word, grueling. The grueling way that Punk got that suplex to hit, it just made it feel so impactful. Joe, like, he's not able to capitalize because both guys are spent, and Punk had to put so much effort into hitting that move. Joe comes back with a snap power slam right into an arm bar, which is not a move he's ever finished anybody with. But we've gotten to this point in the match where it's like both guys are so worn down that it feels like any move could end the match. Like, that's just based on how they've built it up to this point. It's like, all right, it's got to end at some point, right? So maybe it's this arm bar from Joe that's going to do it. But Punk gets to the ropes, and we're still cooking. By the way, again, I don't have the exact timestamps here. There were no finishers attempted in this match until, I don't know, minute 45 or so, which is, again, not to compare it to modern day stuff again too much, but like, I feel like in the modern day, to have an epic match, there's almost like this formula that everybody uses. You hit your finisher, I kick out. I hit my finisher, you kick out. You hit yours from the top rope, I hit mine on the apron. I kick out at 1, I get up, fighting spirit, double down, whatever. It's every epic quote unquote match feels the same nowadays. But these guys have already painted just a masterpiece and have not utilized any of their finishing moves for the first 45 minutes of this match, roughly. It's a testament to the quality of what these guys are doing, is what I'm saying. What I'm doing here, because I know a lot of people are familiar with this match. I know a lot of people are probably even more familiar with it than I am. But the thing that I need to emphasize here for all of you, first of all, watch this match if you haven't. This is fucking wrestling. Like, they are creating drama. They are creating an energy in the crowd. You can hear the crowd. 60 minutes of this match, they were molten hot at the end. They weren't fatigued. They weren't waiting for it to be over. There was a 5 more minutes chant at the end of it. They wanted more. That's how good this shit is, man. That's how fucking good. It's just wrestling. This is the pure art. This is, not a ton of fancy moves in this. Not a ton of overly stiff strikes. There's no blood. I don't think there's no blood in this match. There's no gimmicks or stipulations or storyline really implications. It is just 2 guys just wrestling the shit out of each other. So good. So good. And they're not utilizing finisher kickouts to do it. You know what I'm saying? Not a ton of false finishes for the first 75, 80% of this match. The quality and the drama is generated from other things, which is why it's so good. Which is why I think these matches are held in such high regard. Is basically what I'm saying here. Joe, Punk hits a Frankensteiner, hops up, hits Joe with the Pepsi twist, goes for the pin, but Joe gets the rope. So Samoa Joe, dominant champion, can't even kick out. He has to use the ropes to escape the pin. Both guys make their way to their feet. Joe goes for a lariat on the Punk. Punk counters it into a crucifix pin. Joe kicks out and then decapitates Punk with a lariat. 50 minutes in, they are still throwing these strikes as hard as they are and still bumping as hard as they are. Beautiful stuff. I mean, Punk does like a backflip, lands on his head. Again, burst of energy, double down. They're both selling on the mat. They're both just, every fiber in their being is utilized to just stand up. Once they do, Punk hits Joe with a Shining Wizard. 1, 2, kick out. Man, the crowd bit on that one because that's pretty much Punk's finish at this point. Very, very close kick out. Drama is off the charts. Joe hits Punk with a knee bomb. It's like he's facing Punk, picks him up, ties Punk's knees underneath of him, and then drops him knee first. It's a slam onto Punk's knees, basically. Locks in a single leg crab. At this point, I'm like, Punk might even tap. I wasn't sure if this was a draw. I'm pretty sure the second match is a draw. But I was watching this. I was like, I'm not sure if this is a draw or if Joe just outright wins this one. So when Joe had this single leg crab following that knee buster, I was like, this gotta be it, right? But it was not. Punk gets to the ropes, breaks it. Joe, he's like, all right, this kid's not staying down. I'm going to put him on the top rope, hit him with the top rope muscle buster because that puts out everybody. But Punk does not want to feel this. So he counters, goes for a Pepsi plunge off the top rope. Nope. Joe counters. Superplex? Nope. Punk back, tries the Pepsi plunge again, hits it. Top rope pedigree onto Samoa Joe, but the previous work on Punk's knee causes him to escape to the outside after hitting this move because he's in so much pain and cannot capitalize on this super finisher. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful psychology. Punk can't capitalize on his finish, but he eventually gets back into the ring, hits Joe with another Shining Wizard, a brain buster, but he can't capitalize. These guys are hitting their big moves now, but they can't capitalize because they're so drained. Joe comes back with a desperation dragon screw onto the already injured leg of CM Punk. And then we get the announcement that there's 2 minutes left in this match. They're fighting on the top rope. Joe hits Punk with a top rope slam of some sort. 1 minute left. They get to their feet. Strike battle. Punch, 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 kicks, elbows, kicks, back and forth. Punk hits Joe with a DDT, but can't make the pin. Crawls over to him. Samoa Joe. Punk pins him. 1, 2, kick out. Ding, ding, ding. Time expires. Whoo! Just recapping this match has got me all sweaty and engorged in the swimsuit region. Phenomenal stuff. I can't say anything more about it. It's just, go watch it if you haven't. It's not an indie match. It's not a modern day PWG, whatever the fuck, wrist control, forearm trading in the middle of the ring, finisher, kick out. It is a perfect example of what wrestling is supposed to be. And I don't even think this is the best match of their series. I'm going to be watching them eventually, but I've always heard this is like number 3 out of the 3 of them. So, very excited to see the next 2, but Joe retains via draw. But that's not even the end of this. Match is over. Crowd chants 5 more minutes. As they're chanting, Samoa Joe gets to his feet. And then Homicide storms the ring. Now, Homicide and Samoa Joe have had a brutal rivalry for like over a year at this point. Homicide hit Samoa Joe with the fireball. Then they had a rematch a few weeks later, which Joe beat Homicide, which sent Homicide into a rage. He tried to just murder everybody in the tent that he was in. It was a whole thing. But Homicide's basically psychotic at this point. A demon, as commentary puts it. Hits Samoa Joe in the head with a chair. Homicide knocks out the ref. Knocks out the interviewer, Dave Prazak. Homicide grabs a mic and he says, "This shit is not over, Joe." And then Homicide takes this new Ring of Honor championship and runs away with it. He steals the title. Not both of them, just one of them. I guess in theory, the new one is more expensive. I don't know. Huge heat for Homicide, which again is more representative of how much this crowd loved Samoa Joe versus CM Punk. The fact that Homicide comes in here and ruins the celebration post-match deal, crowd was not having it. So great build for heel Homicide here. Also puts it up in the air, like who's gonna challenge Joe next? Is it gonna be Homicide? Are we gonna see the rematch with Punk? Is it gonna be somebody else entirely? Like, a lot is up in the air here. A lot of intrigue is created as a result of that match, that angle, all of it. So all this whole package, it was just a great package, and I love me a good package. So Samoa Joe was laid out. Crowd's still chanting 5 more minutes. They don't care. Fuck you, Samoa Joe. Get off. Who cares? Homicide hit you with a chair. Whatever. 5 more minutes. Give it to us. We're bloodthirsty. They do not get the 5 more minutes. Not yet. Punk grabs the mic. At this point, Homicide's gone. Samoa Joe's starting to come to again. Punk grabs the mic and he says, Homicide, he's pissed me off. He's pissed these fans off. He thinks that it took away from the match. But then Punk goes on to say that this belt is the greatest belt in North America. He hands, but the belt that he's holding is the original Ring of Honor title, by the way. And he hands this belt to Joe. Hugs Joe. They shake hands and hug and kiss. Punk's basically, he says a lot of things, but he's basically establishing that the Ring of Honor championship is the greatest prize in wrestling, which is like kind of what everybody should be seeking to do, right? Is to put over your main belt, your main championship. And if nothing else, that's what this match did. This match, I think if there's one takeaway from this legendary match, it's that it solidified the Ring of Honor world title as a top title in the industry. Great stuff. And that's what Punk is trying to get over here. And he says, fuck anybody that's trying to stop us, which I guess is referring to, you know, Ring of Honor being in dire straits with the change in management and all the other allegations and whatnot. But new era of Ring of Honor. And I think this match was one that skyrocketed them into this new era. So, and it set up the rematch perfectly because Joe was not able to beat Punk. And Punk arguably had Joe beat with that Pepsi plunge, but he just was unable to capitalize because he bounced outside of the ring afterwards. So there's like this sense of doubt in both guys. Like there wasn't obviously a definitive finish. So there's obviously going to be a rematch at some point, which makes the fact that they didn't bust out all their big moves even that more impactful because now they have stuff to do in the second match that they did not do in the first match, which again is probably why this trilogy is so heralded, is because each match had it built off the other one. They didn't just blow their load in the first match and just do it. You know, match number 2 is the same thing, but with barbed wire and tables, whatever the fuck. No, they use their wrestling ability to build on each match, which is why it's so great. So, well, that was a lot. I talked a lot about this match. Holy shit. Hopefully I'm not rambling. I just love me some Joey Samoa and CM Phil. It's really all it is. And you know what the funny thing about that match is actually? It wasn't the main event